Okay.
You should see. Yep. All right. Everything looks to be in order. We're recording. Everybody, usually they tend to trickle in for the first 5 or so. So we'll keep everything going. And then
I'll give you just a few minutes here and we'll get rolling.
Yep. And good question, Heather. I will make a little announcement there too. It will be recorded, yes. And we're going to have it on the website and our YouTube channel.
Todd, we're going to be able to get a copy of that, put it on the CalFest one as well?
Yep. We'll have a link for everything. Yep, for sure. For sure. All right, so it's 10:30, so I'll go 2 more minutes and then we'll rock and roll and get this show on the road.
Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, the CPRS website is recently updated, has a ton of cool stuff on there, and we have our own distance learning page now. So that will be where this and any of our webinars and stuff like that will end up. Please take a look. Let us know if anything's broken so I can pass it on to someone else to get it fixed.
That's the best. I love it.
Whenever I find something, they make me fix it myself. So.
Yeah. Whoever came up with the concept gets stuck with the problem, right? All right, so in 1 minute, we will start. So it looks like we have a lot of people logging in right now, getting on. So that's perfect. And then we will be flying and doing good stuff. Let me change one thing. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this webinar started. First of all, thank you to everyone who has registered to participate in this. The exciting news is we have well over 300 and almost 350 people registered for this, which would make it the largest webinar kind of by both CPRS and CalFest. So we're excited. That tells us the subject matter is very important and very relevant to each and all of your organizations and programs and services. So with that said, today's webinar is obviously relative to special events, and it's kind of an opportunity for us to do a really quick, when I say quick, it's going to be fast. It's going to be 4 speakers with a kind of a power hour relative to the different subject matters of special events. Our goal at the end of this is hopefully we will send you a recap thank you email with some links and information that some of the speakers will have. And our goal is to see if we need to branch off this and kind of guide us in an area where more information might be requested or needed. As you can imagine, with 350 people involved, there's going to be a significant amount of questions. So, and to keep things orderly, as Chase has put in the chat, we're going to ask that you put those questions into the chat. After the end of each speaker, we will do a couple questions that I will kind of pick and pull. At the end, we'll do a roundtable with the speakers to answer, as many questions as we can, and then we'll do our best to follow up on the ones we can't get to in the allotted time frame. I want to be very respectful of your time. We are going to keep this to an hour and keep it flowing. But really quick, let me introduce myself. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Todd Sebastian, and I am the Superintendent of Parks and Recreation for the City of Lathrop. One of the unique things and how we kind of got to this point is the webinar is hosted by CPRS Admin section and CalFest. And this really cool collaborative partnership came together because I just happened to sit on both of those boards. So it made a nice connection. And when we were here in the chatter and kind of different places, I was like, let's see if we can put this together. You have an amazing panel of speakers today. I'm very excited that we were able to get over together on the same day. and have them speak to their specific expertise. If one subject matter might not be too relative to you, cool thing with only 10 minutes, you'll be on to a completely different subject matter. It'll keep it flowing. So for those of you who don't know, from the events world, who don't know what CPRS is, CPRS is the California Parks and Recreation Society, mostly overseeing local jurisdiction parks and recreation organizations, be it cities, county, special districts. On the flip side of that, it's CalFest. So CalFest is the California Nevada Events Festival Association. So if you are an event producer, if you have an event in your city or organization, it's a good opportunity to join the CalFest organization as well and learn about collaborative efforts you can take away from people. And the majority of our speakers today come from the CalFest side of the table. So it's a good introduction. Check us out. I will say in August, we're doing a complete strategic alliance. So there's going to be some really cool new stuff coming out. We're excited where that is going. Let me just check my quick checklist. I do also want to thank Chase, who's on the call. Chase is going to be kind of our logistics guy behind the scene, making sure everything works and flows good. And then I did want to give a special thank you to Stephanie Stevens and Ruth Schnabel. They are both the executive directors for both organizations that are leading the charge in these fun things. So with that, it will be recorded, as Chase said, so you could watch it later, be on the CPRS webpage and or their YouTube channel. And with that, I think we are ready to kick into this thing. So I'm excited to, batting first, I would say, leading off for us today is Melody Brunsting. Melody is basically a event promoter and does a lot of good communication. She's worked in the Temecula Valley area for over 30 years and has done numerous events. And she is here to lead us today with how to market future special events with safety in mind. So Melody, I'm going to turn this to you.
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to make a quick statement because I'm going to do this really fast. For those who heard about Coachella and the Stagecoach canceling of their events and what's going to be happening in our future, I do have a section in here that covers if you don't know when your event's going to happen or if it's going to be canceled. So just that's coming up. Mainly what we're going to talk about today, though, is how to get your audience excited about coming back to your event, basically marketing it with the safety protocols that we all have to follow in mind. And I'm going to start right off with the biggest question a lot of people say or ask is, will there be any kind of an audience reluctancy to return? And there's been a study that was done just prior to all of the protests and the large gatherings that were already happening. And basically 85 to 89% of the people who normally attend live events, whether they be festivals, sporting events, or any kind of a foodie event, they're all anxious to come back. They want to come back. But in that same question, they also asked, was there anything that they were concerned about? And a lot of them did say they're concerned about their health. They're concerned about COVID-19 and the issues. And of that, 44% of those people also said that they're concerned about what kind of protocols they're going to have to follow. What are the social distancing protocols and what kind of things are they going to encounter that's different than their normal event when they come back? So with that said, we're going to talk about how do you talk to them? How do you get them back in? What are going to be some of the key points that you want them to come in with? And what I look at is the pent-up frustration that so many people have in being isolated, in being away from their favorite events, and being away from the things and the people that they love. There is a lot of pent-up frustration. And when you know that your event, when it happens, is going to be a relief to them. So what you want to sell in your messaging is that relief, that recreation, that rejuvenation of life, that celebration of being together, that kindred spirit. And that's what your messaging is really going to need to be very strong with, both your visuals, your words, the things that you use. You want to bring out that really strong feeling of, this is going to be fun. We're back out here. We're alive. We are vital. We are thriving. And so with that, I recommend that you get very creative with your statements and your comments. I do recommend that you stay away from the very worn, torn, tired line that everybody has, and we've heard on every commercial and seen in just about every post that you've got out there. We're all in this together. I would suggest you stay away from that and give them a different image. So some of the thought process I have is the wait is over. We can't wait to see you. Yippee, it's a go, we're on, our festival is here, or we're thrilled to welcome you back. Those are the messages that you need to get out to your people, and you need to share it. So break free, get back to us. We missed you, did you miss us? Those are the things that people are gonna wanna see, they're gonna wanna hear, they're gonna wanna know that you guys are geared up and you're ready to welcome your fans back to your event. The other thing that you need to figure out is how to present, this is why it's safe for you to return. Because as we said, they are concerned about whether or not it's gonna be safe. So how do you present that to your public? And what should they expect when they return? These are all the issues that are gonna make a difference as to whether or not they come back. So there are a lot of things that you can do, and the best thing you can do is just show them the precautions, show them what it is that you're doing for your event. Are you changing the way they come into the event, the ingress and egress? Are you going to have directionals that have only one way in and one way out, one way around your vendors and one way out? What are some of the things that they should expect to see? Will there be hand sanitation? Is there going to be touchless screens? Are there going to be different things, touchless ticketing and purchases? Are these things all going to be available to them? And so you need to have all that laid out and copied out to where you know how you're going to present it. You can, again, present this in very creative ways, in all the different ways that you, and all the different media and communication channels. You also should have somewhere on your website, and we'll go over all the things that and places to put these, but you need to have a code of behavior. Basically, this code of behavior is going to say that if for any reason, you know, you do not follow by the rules, you will be asked to leave our premises. And why would you do that? Well, if you've got a list of rules at the front of the gate and you've got them all on your website, and the first thing that happens is everybody throws off their masks and starts hugging one another and nobody bothers to socially distance, that puts your event and your people pretty much at a liable state because you did not enforce the policies that you set out. So while that sounds like a police state, these are just things that you need to keep in mind. So whatever you do when you're doing your messaging, keep that in mind, that if you don't follow through, you basically do set yourself up for some future down the line liability if, you know, you put that down as a policy. If it's not a policy, if it's not something you're going to enforce, if it's not in your code of behavior, then you don't have to enforce it. There's a lot of different kinds of messaging that you can use. I would suggest that you do some storyboards, that you have things out and about around your festival that show your health and safety, and you can find these online. You can find them at the CDC. I've got a document that Todd's going to send to everybody that has all these links, tells you where to find some of the graphics, and also I've got a whole do-it-yourself in case you don't have a marketing company to do this for you. Next, videos and examples of what it's like. Make this fun. And when you show your visuals, that are showing everybody that we've come back, when you're showing you the visuals about your festival, if there is something you've changed in the layout, that is going to be a shock to them. Maybe there's a venue that's closed. Maybe they're not going to have their buffet lines. You know, the different things. If there's something that's a shock to the system, if you could possibly show that in a video, it can be done by your cell phone. It can be done anything. But if you can possibly show that, that's more messaging that will help make your people comfortable when they come in. And if you do it in a creative way that's kind of fun and lighthearted, it will also encourage them to come out and participate and be a part of your solution to this new event and this new way that you're going to be doing your event. And finally, the last little part of this messaging, this is something that you should have on either your tickets. It should also be somewhere on your website that basically helps to release your organization, the venue, of any liability, and basically says that you agree that you have entered this and you are taking, basically it's at your own risk. So this is what they're doing at Disney, at the Universal Studios. It's on all of their websites, and a lot of people are suggesting you put something along those lines on your ticketing. Now, do you make that a part of your message? No, that's the part that you lead them to. When you encourage them, you have a link that shows them all of this extra information. And where do you message? And this is going to be real fast. Like I said, I have a whole long list of this, but where do you message? Where do you put this marketing messaging out? You've got two venues. One is your event control messaging, which is your owned media. And then you have the media control. So you're going to be sending out press releases and B-rolls and things along those lines. So basically you want to get your event message out there. So you're going to use your website, all of your social media channels, your ticket purchasing, your emails, your mobile apps, all of these things, you're going to put it on there. And if possible, if you have entertainers or major partners, get them to also put out there the message links that go back to your control issues as far as your health and safety, but also that is repeating the same graphics and same imagery that you designed that shows we're here, we're fun, we're going to make this a really great event for you, and we can't wait to have you out here. Media control.
We got about 1 minute there to wrap this one up.
And I'm getting there. Media control, those are your press releases. Again, tell the story of how beautiful the event is. Bring all the best things back. If at all possible, when you're doing your videos and your photos and everything else, try to keep it real to what they're going to experience now, not what they experienced back when all these people could follow and be hugging and kissing, that type of thing. So if you have those restrictions, make sure you try to reflect that image, but still show fun. It's going to take some creativity, and you can do it. And then the last big question, what if you don't know? And this is very important. If you don't know, if you're still thinking you may or may not have your event in the fall, which I've got 2 events going through that, you need to keep your guests and your potential guests informed. You need to let them know that you're following all the protocols, you're watching what's happening, and if they are told that you have to shut down, if the county or the state comes in and says you can't produce that event, you will let them know first. If at all possible, give them a deadline for when you're going to let them know. KAABOO is doing that. I have some examples in this document, but KAABOO started doing that 2 weeks ago, and I started hearing rumblings about Coachella about 2 weeks ago. Coachella did not put anything on their site about canceling, but they do have, and this is very important, they do have on their site what to do about getting refunds. That is the #1 thing that will hurt you when you open up the next time. If you haven't been forward thinking and out there about what you're doing with the refunds and how people can apply for it. You don't want to lose that guest. It's very hard to get guests to come back to your event after you made them mad. So make sure that you find ways to work with anybody that might have a ticket and have a problem and needs a refund.
So, I'm sorry. One quick question that we're getting a lot of inquiry on is, do you have any advice for, and we got to do somewhat quick, marketing virtual events, not maybe ones and people in attendance, but any virtual event marketing?
That I don't know enough about the technology for actually doing those. I've been trying to find that out, but as far as marketing them, yes, I do. You need to use all of your normal channels. Quite frankly, that if you can use the channels that you have, your social media channels, and because you're doing a virtual, get all of the people that are involved in your virtual to also utilize their social media. This is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, if you have Twitter people. But you use all of that information. You can also use the standard media. Let them know. You can go out to the people that have the online news services. You can go to your television and your local radio people and let them know. Radio has been very good about promoting your virtual events because they definitely are hurting probably more than your local television stations are for the coverage, and to have something else to offer out there. They have become a voice in our local community for what's happening with our events. So make sure that you get that messaging out.
All right. Well, thank you, Melody. And again, for everyone who's come on here a little bit later, we are going to be doing a recap email that we'll send out that will have links to all of our speakers today, plus some information that they're going to compile. But next up, we're going to move on in this Power Hour. We're going to move over to Dean Cato, and I'm excited to have Dean on. Dean is actually the chair of the board for the California Strawberry Festival. So here's an individual who is directly in charge of an event, and Dean is going to be helping us with a quick little subject matter of, okay, so your event is canceled, now what? So Dean, the dance floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So I'm in the same boat as many of you. I think we're all watching the news, reading all the articles, and following different organizations on social media. I'm following closely restaurants and theme parks and shopping malls and retail businesses to get an idea or a path of what it may be like for us what it will take to reopen. Already we're seeing that restaurants will have to try to figure out how to make their numbers work with half the amount of customers and shorter time periods. The number of transactions will greatly be reduced per station where you're collecting money or tickets. So we've got to figure out all these different variables and try to figure out how we're going to make our festivals pencil. Little things like moving back and rescheduling our retreat, our planning retreat is always in July, moving that to September or October so we can try to see what everyone in the world is planning on doing. How serious is this COVID? Will it come back in the winter? What will happen if we don't have a 2021 festival? We've got to figure all those things out. We made the decision to furlough and lay off our staff. Fortunately, it was only 2 people. We're a volunteer event. All of our board members are chairs of different committees, so we're all volunteers. So we're able to keep going without very much overhead. Some of the things that we're looking at as variables is we already know what the cost for
Oops, we lost him.
Hey, I think you might have went on mute by accident there. Can you hear me, Dean?
Dean?
Chase,
Yeah,
you-
he is not muted in the in Zoom.
Okay.
I think his mic may have come unplugged or something.
Okay.
Let's see.
Dean, can you hear us? Oh,
I don't know if you can see.
Oh. maybe if you could hear us, Dean, it's come unplugged there, your mic. So I could translate for him. No, I was kidding. All right.
I don't know if he will be keeping an eye on the chat or not. But
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. If Mike, maybe I can switch to you really quick, and then I can give Dean a call on the cell phone here, step away, and try to get a. Would that work with you, Mike?
let me see if I mute him.
Okay.
If he gets a message that says you've been muted by the host.
Gotta love fun technology.
Yeah.
Got to adapt, right?
There you go.
Well, I thought that was him coming back. No, it's very strange because I can't unmute him either. It's like his
Okay.
I think his window locked up or something.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh, it looks like he just got something there
I
going.
think he finally sees the.
oh, God, I was.
There you go.
What was I muted on?
Okay,
No, that's okay.
got muted. It's probably been about 3 minutes, but that's
Okay.
all right.
Okay.
We were just going to. I think you were going to talk about the stage situation.
Yeah. So every year we keep adding attractions and adding different items. So we're having to look at maybe cutting costs, raising prices, having less musicians, less attractions, less rides. How are we going to sanitize all of these inflatables and rides and climbing walls and things like that? So we're going to have to look at all of our options and variables and figure out which ones we need and which ones are luxury items that we maybe afford to not have in 2021 until we can get back to full strength. But yeah, and that's all I have.
Okay. So, Dean, one of the questions that's coming in on that area, and hopefully it might bring up some of those things, was in regards to your staging and spacing. I know you were talking a little bit about if you go to 2 stages versus 3, can you fill the same amount of entertainment with least the cost of that 3rd stage? And maybe you can go a little more on that.
Sure. We have 3 music stages, and we have to look into do we need all 3? Just mainly because of cost of musicians and all the equipment and the video walls. We do fortunately have a wide open space. We have a massive area, a park with several soccer fields. So we can space everyone out. But once again, it's the lines getting in and the shuttles to get to our venue. We have to plan to possibly have 20, 30, 40, 50% less people coming through the gate. And how will the numbers work out? And so one of the easy ones would be, well, maybe we get by with one less stage. Maybe we get by with less rides, and maybe a few less vendors. We haven't raised our ticket prices for about 15 years. We're still $12 general admission. That includes everything. Our parking is only $10. So, we still sell $5 beers. So we've been trying to keep our pricing down and be an event that everyone can afford. And unfortunately, things may have to change.
And then last, if you could just highlight again, I'm not sure it came through, but how you've been able to get your entire board and your committees to all go to volunteer to keep the event alive.
Sure. So we from its inception, we've been a volunteer nonprofit, and we all work full time, and we work nights and long hours as volunteer board members. We have some guys that are great with computers, and they do our site plans. Other people have financial backgrounds. There are treasurers. A lot of us that are in sales and marketing, we volunteer on the marketing committees. So we've been able to get by just with a sponsorship consultant, a marketing agency, and 2 staff. So we've been able to operate pretty lean.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things when we talked in advance that was interesting with the sponsorship aspect of it, using a consultant. So it's a percentage of what they bring in versus paying somebody outright was a kind of a common trend you guys have utilized, which is great.
Right.
So, all right. Well, perfect. Thank you, sir. We're now going to switch over to Mr. Wan, Mike Wan. Mike, a good buddy of mine, is the executive director of Hot August Nights. Many of you know that up in the Reno area. The unique thing about Mike, which I still think is awesome, Mike is actually a retired deputy chief of police, and he tells a great story for us event people that how police usually want to deny the alcohol, the beer permit. And Mike says he went from the guy wanting to deny the permit to the guy having to need the permit to make an event successful. So he's got a lot of good information on beer gardens and things of that nature. But Mike, yeah, he was with law enforcement for 25 years before coming over to the events world with Hot August Nights, a massive event, encompassing all of Reno. Mike is going to talk us today. He has significant sponsorships, and now that times are tough with sponsorships, how do you maintain them and keep them? So Mike, it's all you.
Thanks, Todd. So let me just briefly, some of you might not know what Hot August Nights is. Hot August Nights is a big event up here, first week of August every year. It's been happening since 1986. In 2016, we did a study with the University of Nevada, Reno. They have found, although it's not gated, but they did a study with plenty of people in all 7 locations throughout the week. We get about 300,000 people come to town for our event, and the economic impact from outside monies is about 81 million, but that doesn't include our locals. So I always say it's about $100 million event because a third of our car participants are actually right here in Northern Nevada. Our event brings in a lot of money for our community, especially our hotels, who their rates go from $125 a night to $425 a night. So it's a $2.3 million event. And if we're lucky, we get about a 1 or 2% return. So you all in the business get that. That's they're pretty standard. Our registration fees, the only way we really make money is from our car participants who sign up for their cars to be able to show and cruise and all that. But that only covers about a third of our cost. Our costs, correct. The others come from gates. We have a drag racing, we have a gate fee, and we have a swap meet, we have a gate fee. So then that leaves a big void. So I need about $600,000 in sponsorships annually to get us from the red to the black. So that's the challenge year after year. And what I've found over the last 5 years I've been doing this, it's changed. We used to have some pretty big sponsors that were maybe the $40,000 sponsor, and now they're at $10,000. They're diversifying. They're wanting to do more events instead of one big event and sponsoring more. And they're also changing what they're looking for. Back when I first started, even 5 years ago, maybe it was physical presence, being there, and maybe now it's more social media. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think the biggest thing for me, and I learned from the very beginning, is communications. Communications and your sponsors and what you're doing and what they're looking for. And especially today when everything's unknown, those communications have really come into play because I've communicated with them almost on a monthly basis on where we're at, where we're going, what might happen, and they appreciate that as well. So for sponsors, you got to know you can't just go with a blanket, here's a sponsorship, sign up like you're going to go buy a car. You got to ask them and figure out what their needs are. What do they want to do? What's their focus? Is our demographic their focus, or is it the car market their focus? So that I always ask them. Some of them just want their name involved. Some of them want, we have companies here in town that have nothing to do with cars, don't care about our demographic, but they know we have concerts every night of the week, and we have headliners. Rich Springfield was one a few years ago, Kool and the Gang, on and on and on. So people want to take their VIPs and give them sponsor tickets so they could take their VIPs into our sponsor tent. And our sponsor tent is right next to the stage. Our Grand Sierra event has probably about 25 to 30,000 people in the area watching our concert. So being in that VIP tent is kind of a bonus because you get food and of course free alcohol. Back to what you were talking about. So that's the thing. Some sponsors want goodie bag benefits. They want to be able to, if they're displaying their product, they want to be able to put something in all 6,000 car participants goodie bag. It could be a flyer to get them to go to their booth. It could be a 10% off, 20% off, or it could be something that they use a month from now. So, you know, maybe they get them coming back on their internet or on their website to buy something later on. I always ask them, you know, what are you guys looking for? And I try to build a package around that, but I also have to know what I have to sell. And every year I'm learning more things I could sell. In fact, from the CalFest event last year, I met a gal, Vicki Hutchins, who I've been talking to almost weekly now. We're probably going to contract with her to help us out with our sponsorships. Being the executive director over a big event, it's hard to do it all. I get that. So she's even came up with a few ideas. You know, we have about 450 volunteers. So we're talking about the volunteers and what they do. And our volunteers actually pay $40 to be a volunteer because they get shirts and all the swag. And she mentioned something that I never even thought about. She goes, well, who sponsors your volunteers? Like, that could be a sell. That's something that we could sell. It's a group of people mostly here in Reno. They're an older demographic. And one year we had Toll Brother Homes. It's a 55 and older community. And they wanted all our volunteers to come check out their models. So we had a party there. And it was like a street party. And people went in and out of their models as we were giving them their shirts for the year. It's called our grab and go. So figure out what they want. Right now, we got to keep our sponsors engaged. So we're asking them, what do they need? What are you guys looking for? If you don't know, all of our casinos up here have been shut down, or we're just now opening last week, but they've been shut down since mid-March. So there's really not a lot of need for them to say, hey, I want to do an e-blast, or I want to do a flyer. But that need is there now because that's what they're looking for, because they're trying to engage with people to get them to come back. We unfortunately just made the decision to cancel our event. So we made it public last Tuesday, and it was something that was known for probably about 2 weeks beforehand. And what we did is, once the board made the decision to cancel the event, we didn't want to announce that the next day. It takes so many things to do and plan before we made that announcement. So first of all, at the time we had 3,300 car participants registered. So we printed out options for them, a nice cover letter and options, because they're all asking, and they're going to call that day it's public. How do I get my money back? What do I do now? So that letter went out Monday. The announcement went out Tuesday. So by the time the locals, they got the letter the same day actually that the announcement went out. So it kept them from having to call us or do social media questions. You know, what do I do with my registration fees? We did the same thing with the sponsors. I wanted the sponsors to know, especially the casinos that are closed, that, hey, by the way, you're going to probably get a whole bunch of people canceling room reservations tomorrow because we're about ready to cancel our event. And they really appreciated that because that gave them time to staff their phones to know that, you know, someone's going to be calling and asking about refunds on their rooms that they've reserved. So that was a good communication for us. We also we rolled out our social media at 8 o'clock Tuesday morning or 8:30 Tuesday morning with our news release to the media. At the same time, our website went live with a new video that talks about our cancellation. We also had social media on Twitter, Facebook, you name it, and that was very popular. So it all kind of went out at once. The biggest takeaway from that is, again, communicating with the sponsors. Even the ones that drive across the country were kind of happy because they were concerned about their costs coming all the way across, you know, from the Midwest, come to our country or our state. They have to put up their, you know, maybe 10 or 20 employees. So there's cost to that, and there might not be the same crowds. So if they don't get a return on their investment, then it's bad on us. And we weren't about to water down our event. In fact, some of the discussions I had with the city, they were talking about potentially putting fences around our whole event and making a gated venue so people could only have so many people go in at a time. So if you imagine what your sponsors are thinking, if that's the case, they wouldn't be very happy when, you know, they normally have 30,000 people in that parking lot. Now all of a sudden it's 5,000 people or whatever. So I took that in mind as well. So we did give ourselves plenty of time. We put together those letters, like I said. The big thing for us, just some great numbers. So in Tuesday till today, we've had about 1,000 people reply back with their letters. Self-addressed envelopes are all sent in there with them. And majority of them wanted to roll their money over to the 2021 event. So you in the nonprofit world, you know how important that money is, because when you make your money 10 days of the year and you have a $60,000 to $70,000 monthly cost to run your building and your business, that money's not coming back. So having that money in, and in fact, just yesterday I got a $20,000 sponsor who donated half of that to us just for COVID relief. So don't be afraid to ask for that money, because they know and they're in the situation. And this was a casino that they've been hurting too, and they've been more than happy to. They want us to come back. So we've asked all of our sponsors, hey, we give them the same options. You've already paid, roll your money over, or take and donate some to us. And at this point, between the card participants and our sponsors who have rolled over their monies, just this week, we got $40,000 that we didn't have a week ago that we know we could use for the following year. So again, I want to tell you, and someone told me that, I'm like, this is a great idea. It doesn't hurt to ask. And I have some people say, sorry, business is bad, especially, the vendor sponsors who got, shirts or product, and they said, hey, I haven't been able to display for months. I can't afford it. Hey, I get that. I totally understand. Here's your money or whatever. And then the people that do roll it over, like some of our casinos or bigger sponsors, we're gonna give them some love by our website and e-blast and say thank you to these sponsors who have held with us and give us these funds to help keep us going. We're gonna ask them if they want more e-blast. Do they want? 3 times a year we do a magazine. They put ads in there, but you know what? There's a lot of sponsors who haven't paid, or they want their money back. So this magazine is going to be primarily for the people who helped us and gave us, donations and rolled over their money. So we're, I think that'll go a long way. Again, the big
Mike,
thing,
we got about a minute left, but there is a couple questions coming in for you.
okay, I'm ready to go.
Really quick. Yeah. So one of the things I think that's really unique what you guys did is you took a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day sponsorship package, and you've made it a year-long. Can you, with your email blast, or can you just translate a little bit how they reacted to that year-long relationship first the 5 days?
Well, they're always typically year-long as soon as they sign up. So we continue those same benefits. They're always on our website. It's a hot link website, so we get about 1 million hits a year. They get advertising on our magazine that comes out 3 times a year. And then some of them, if they want e-blast or mailers, we add that to their contract as well. So we're engaged with them throughout the year, not just during our event.
Okay. And then the other one was, and when you talked about working, we had a question come in about working with a consultant to do some of the sponsorships for staff. Is there a ballpark percentage range that you would say that's been your experience?
Yeah, some of them early on when I tried to contact them, they said we were too big and we're too spread out. They didn't want to do it. We didn't have the numbers because we don't have a gate. But I have seen anywhere right around 20%. But some of them also want a retainer, like a monthly retainer, because it costs to do what they're doing. I'm sure that's all negotiable, which I'm working on now. But I always think 80% is better than nothing, right? When you're trying to get that money. And if they have those contacts, the hardest thing for me was to find the right person in an organization, if it's a national organization or local, is who do you call? You call someone, they're going to put you to receptionist, and you never get a call back. So at least with these types of people, they know who those people are. They knew the marketing agency. And boy, it takes a lot of relief on me when we're mostly volunteers, but there's right now I had 4 staff managers. Now we're down to 2, and that's probably going to carry on throughout this year because of the COVID problems.
Perfect. And I do think one of the things that was really unique what you guys did is you gave a lot of people the option to roll over, and that's been really receptive in your world.
Huge. I mean, the stack, I bet 80% have rolled over, and probably 10% have donated, and maybe 10% want their money back, and they'll sign up again next year. We start signing up for the next year already in September, so we're excited.
Awesome. Mike, thank you. We'll do a little round table at the end. I appreciate you. And then last but not least, our final speaker today is Beth McMillan. Beth is the Executive Director of Art Town, and she is going to talk to us a little bit today about which a lot of questions that came in advance were relative to these virtual events and virtual special events. And Beth is going to talk to us. Beth is, it's up in the Truckee, I should say the North Shore, Lake Tahoe area, but she has done everything from in acting and producing film, and been very has an amazing background in the arts world, and she's expanded this commitment to all forms of art now that she's been participating with. So I'm really excited to have Beth on here. And so Beth, tell us about the benefits of virtual special events.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm like Mike. I think I should tell everybody really just a brief version of what Art Town really is about. It is a month-long arts and culture festival that takes place actually in Reno, Nevada, and throughout the region, which is Virginia City, Carson City, and everywhere. So we have typically we have about 500 events in 31 days. It's multidisciplinary, and 75% of the entire festival is free. And because it's all free, we do not have a gate to count the people. So our estimated attendance annually is about 300,000. So the festival starts on July 1st and finishes on July 31st. And here we are. So instead of saying we're canceling the festival, we have retooled our festival, and we are postponing our headliners to 2021. And in doing that, we're using different words than cancel, because I think it's important, along with what Melody was saying and Mike is saying, to keep people excited and interested. The word cancel is different than the word postponed or retooled or reimagined. So it helps build that excitement of what we are doing. As far as what happens in the virtual world, some people say, what is the best format? There are so many different formats, and I don't think any of us have completely figured it out. I certainly haven't. I do think that whatever you choose to do, you should be consistent, whether you go through Zoom or whether you're going to be doing Facebook Live events, or have your YouTube channel that continually takes your live events and posts them so people can watch them in the future. I think one of the advantages to virtual events is if they do sit on your YouTube channel, it gives you the opportunity to reach even further than your typical event, because you can reach all over the world, and you can reach not only today, but if people want to go back and watch any of these events. One of the other things that we've done as far as with some of our virtual events, and with an event, the word virtual is sort of an oxymoron, because we are about connecting our communities. We are about bringing people together. And so virtual is a two-dimensional structure on our screen that really alienates us from each other, essentially. So it sort of takes away from what we typically do. And we also know that there is such a thing as virtual burnout. So especially when the summer months come and people want to be outside, trying to get people to go back to the screen to watch over and over again is challenging. One thing that we're doing with our opening night, we went back to every one of our headliners and we asked them to create a video for our community of their work, whether that was dancer or musician or whatever, and create a special message for the Art Town audience. And we know that some of our audience members are not going to be on a computer monitor. So we went to Sinclair Broadcasting, which they own Channel 4 KRNV, which is our NBC affiliate. They also own Fox 11. And then they have a local channel called Nevada Sports Net. And right now there are no live sporting events going on. So we approached them. They're a partner of ours, a big sponsor. And they are actually going to we're going to put together a 2-hour show for opening night of all these artists. And they're going to put it on, they're going to televise it. They're going to air it on their local television station. So everyone in our community, whether you go on a screen or you can sit in your living room and have a couple of friends over and you can watch the opening night of Art Town with all the headliners who are going to be part of the festival. In addition, they are going to stream it on their website so it can reach people all over the world. And with these artists who are coming from all over the world, there's a chance that they can be posting this, and the reach of our opening night of Art Town this year could in fact be so much greater than in the past. Another program that I have heard about, a colleague of mine in California, they have an event, a virtual event every Friday evening where they show a performance, a past performance by an artist. And they make it free to their membership, and they have they actually have a virtual membership that you can sign up for, and then they sell tickets, and it's a nominal ticket. In addition, the artist comes on at the beginning of the show and talks about what they're doing, and at the end of the show, and they also talk about a virtual tip jar. And what they have found, they are averaging about $10,000 a performance, which they share with the artist. So that's a very successful way. And they do it once a week, so it's very standardized. It's not sort of all over the place. That's a very successful way of having something virtual that your audience members can hold, have something to look forward to. Now, that is not obviously an event, which is the world we live in. It's an arts organization that has a theater. Some of the things we're trying to do is really still have that person to person in a weird environment situation, as well and sort of augment that with virtual. So we are going to have this year, Art Town has a huge initiative called Heart Town. And we are inviting everyone in our community to create art from their heart in their own front yards. We're also putting together 1,000 beautiful art kits that we're going to be distributing to the more marginalized neighborhoods so that they can also create art in their front yard, their balcony, their window. And we will be going around and we will video this and we will take photographs so that we can stream this and we can be the vehicle through which this community-wide project comes to fruition. So we're going to be the administrator of everybody else's art project. And again, I believe we will reach people that Art Town has never reached before because we're going into the neighborhoods. So try to find those moments where you can actually sort of capitalize on the situation, which is really challenging, but where you can see if you can gain more audience members or, reach into other countries, which is great to showcase something that's happening in Reno, Nevada. It really helps us with our reputation and all of that. So we're working on all of that. The one thing that we find challenging is we usually have a calendar of events, and we're still going to have our calendar of events. We have an education program called Discover the Arts, which is typically kids come along and they learn about different art forms every single weekday. It's a free program. So we've got permission from the sponsor to continue to do the program, and we're going to make it virtual. So the children will discover an art form, whether it's ballet or the trumpet or the hula, whatever it is, and then they get to do an art project. But because they're at home, they do not have art projects. So we will essentially, the day before, the week before each of these take place, you have a scavenger hunt where the children go and look. The art supply list is everything that they would have in their homes. So whether it's a coat hanger or some flour and water, they get all their materials together so that they can then do these projects. So this will live on our website as a lesson, and then it will transfer over to our YouTube channel. So these lessons can be done over and over again, or if somebody didn't participate, it's not like they lost it today. They can go do it tomorrow, the next week. So it's really trying to find that sort of combination between what a project is and how we've transitioned it so that it's available virtually or even in the future. So we're also we work with about 150 different arts partners, and they are finding ways to do their events virtually. Dance performances are being filmed in different locations outside, and they are then going to be streamed through our website. Our website is sort of the conduit where everything is the go-to place to see all these events during the month of July. So instead of 500 events, we believe that we are going to have about 300 events. Not all of them are virtual. Some of them are different kinds of parades that are only cars, or some of them are different art events with protocol being adhered to. So it's a combination between virtual and real life with protocol being adhered to situations, but it's trying to really have the community be very excited about having July exist in a different way. I think shrinking it down, like Mike was saying, was taking it and just fencing it off and making it the same but different doesn't really work. But if you shift completely and pivot to make it this is a new kind of art town. It's new art forms in different ways, and how can we celebrate that? And I think that has really got everybody in our community quite excited. So I don't claim to be an absolute aficionado on virtual. I just know how we're doing it. So
quick question on that we're getting a lot of inquiries on is anyone or are any of your programs making any money on these virtual events, or are they all free?
Well, our town is primarily free. So I believe that everybody that we know of is doing it at no cost. But the other example that I told you about, an associate in California, is definitely a ticketed thing, and she's doing really well.
Okay, great. And then besides the normal standards of like Facebook Live and YouTube and Zoom, are there any other platforms that you're aware of for virtual programming that's been successful?
I am not. Those are the platforms that we use, and I think this situation has come at us so hard because you hope and you hope and you got plan A, plan B, plan C, and then when you make the decision to change direction, you really don't have time to do all the research on what's out there. So you focus on what you know and what you can handle, because there's a lot coming at you from every single angle, whether it's, as Mike says, the sponsors or the marketing. You've got this all coming at you. So I think staying focused at a time like this and doing what we know best, and if you have time to learn a different format, I think that's great.
Okay. And there was some chat coming in of some potential locations as well. Beth, thank you for that. That was awesome. Very much appreciated. I'm going to talk about one event really quick, but if you do have some questions that maybe haven't been answered yet, now is your time to put those in the chat feed, and we can knock a couple of those out. I did want to share that here in the city of Lathrop, we did something different, flavor, forks, and fun. And then what we ended up doing, knowing that we couldn't do a special event that gathered everybody, the community together, we actually went to all the restaurants in our town that weren't necessarily making money. And now that they've opened up, we kind of did a special event that took people to all the restaurants in town. And so we made a little game board and listed where they all are. And now you get a stamp. If you go into those restaurants and you get something to eat, you get a stamp. And we're going to do all the restaurants that we went to, we bought a gift card from them. And we are going to do a kind of like a live event where we're going to announce who won these gift cards. But it's a different kind of a twist on special events where people are still out having fun, but they're also supporting the local economy that probably could use a benefit from it. And it's showing that we're invested as a city into our local businesses, and people get a chance to win something and we get to have some fun. So just kind of a cool, unique thing outside the box thing. And then I'm really proud of what we did here. So something you want to share, this will be, I'll put a copy of this link to our web and on our website when we send the thank you for participating. Being said, I'm not seeing too many questions coming in. If you have feedback for us when we do the survey, if there's anything else that you would like to have more on a special events or more detail, again, this was just kind of our appetizer to get something out there. By all means, let Chase know. You could email me, and we look forward to putting that together. Yes, a question did come in. Did you send that to all the homes in Lathrop? Yes, we mailed it to, well, let me expand on that. Yes, we mailed it to every home in Lathrop. In addition, every restaurant that participated, we feature one a day on our Facebook page over a 30-day period. So, so with that being said, I want to thank all of our panel members for being here today. Melody, Dean, Mike, Beth. I'd like to thank, again, CPRS and Chase for kind of hosting today. I'd like to say thank CalFest. Make sure you go check out both organizations if you don't know what the other one is. And with that being said, thank you very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we'll continue to get creative. And bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Yep. Send any emails to chase@cprs.org if you have any questions, and we'll be getting info out to everybody very quickly.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks for having everybody.
Thanks, Chase. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it. Good stuff.
All right. We will see you next time.
Thanks.
Todd, did you want us to hang out for a little bit, the panel?
I think we're good. I'll shoot you guys an email.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Awesome.
Then I'm going to end the meeting for everybody, and we will catch you later. Thanks.
Nice job, Todd.